Hi, Dr. Angela here with Garden Talk for Equal Ground Community Gardens in Brantford, and we're talking about tomatoes, my favorite food, tomatoes. Tomatoes are loaded with vitamin C, just like bell peppers. They're also loaded with lycopene, and the lycopene actually comes out more when you cook them. And they're also loaded with beta carotene. Where do you find beta carotene? And carrots. Carrots are the most famous source of beta carotene, and beta carotene is the most famous of all our carotenoids. And those are not quite vitamins, not quite minerals. They're a little something of their own, and they are absolutely wonderful for keeping our health optimal. Historians believe that the first people to grow tomatoes were actually the Aztecs in Mexico. And at first, the Europeans that came over considered them unfit to eat. Fortunately for us, they were proven wrong, and eventually they became quite popular. And today, apparently, we're producing on a global level 130 million tons of tomatoes every year. You don't want to cook your tomatoes in aluminum. It actually changes the flavor of the tomato, and it also messes with it does some sort of chemical reaction. We think it's the acid, the type of acid that's in the tomatoes. Not that tomatoes have bad acid in them. It's just all fruits and vegetables have acid, and then apparently it turns to alkaline in our bodies. I'm not going to go into that, but aluminum cookware and aluminum cans can alter the chemical composition of your tomatoes. Can also alter the flavor, and that's why canned tomatoes taste so different than jarred tomatoes or fresh tomatoes. It also makes you wonder about your canned tomatoes, doesn't it? Tomatoes have quite a bit of pesticide residue on them in general. They have to be heavily sprayed to keep their nice plump shape and color and make them look very uniform and pretty on the produce sections of our grocery stores. Thankfully, our grocery stores are, doing a good job of keeping our foods fresh these days. We have good grocery stores in Brantford. And we've got organic selections as well. But if you're growing them in your gardens, tomatoes are just one of those things. Sometimes tomatoes will work one year and they won't work another. But don't give up on them. If you have a bad tomato year, try again next year, and probably you'll have a good tomato year. Don't give up on those little beauties. What else can I say about tomatoes? They want to be nice and firm. They're going to have a nice, healthy red sheen to them, and some of them are actually a purple color. And we're getting a lot of really neat seeds being distributed this year that have maybe different kinds of tomatoes. You've got your cherry tomatoes, you've got your grape tomatoes, you've got your what do they call it? The beefy tomatoes, the big ones, and you've got all different sorts. And some of them are going to be yellow and golden. Some of them are going to be a little more purple. Some of them are going to be a really bright red, and some of them are going to be a dark red. And so look at the texture of your tomato, and I guess go from there. Green tomatoes are also used. Especially at the end of the year, if you're finding that the last bit of tomatoes are not ripening and turning red, you don't necessarily have to waste them. You can actually take them in, do your best to ripen them, and make a sauce out of them. And you've got a nice green tomato salsa that you can add some spices to, and some garlic and onion, and they're quite enjoyable actually. I think that's all I have to say about tomatoes. I could go on and on and on and on and on and on about tomatoes. They're absolutely wonderful. They're great in potatoes. They're great with breakfast. They're great sliced with basil and bocconcini cheese and really good olive oil and salt. I'm just going to stop now. Enjoy.